everybody, and welcome back to the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. It's the video we call Weather for Weather Geeks. I promise we're going to have much more to talk about over the next few weeks than we have so far this winter. I mentioned in my video last evening that a distinctly different pattern is setting up across North America as we head into the new year, and it's going to result in sometimes rainstorms for us, sometimes some snow threats, and January and February should end up being a lot different than December was, and January and February were in 2023. Through 3 days here in the new year, consistency is the name of the game. Our high temperatures have been in the mid-30s over the last few days, very close to the average high for this time of the year, which as of yesterday is ticked down to 35. We've still got one or two more ticks left to go in that annual average decline, which happens, of course, starting in July and continues through mid-January, and then our averages start rising once again as we go deeper into the winter season. Now, looking back at our temperature history to just before Christmas time, of course, it was very warm right around Christmas. We had a high of 60 on Christmas Day, one of the warmest Christmas days on record. We stayed on the mild side through almost New Year's, but ever since the very end of the year and the first few days of 2024, it's been much closer to the average temperature-wise. I'm going to be keeping an eye on both the air temperatures and the road temperatures for tonight. A couple of reasons for this. Yes, we have some snow showers in our forecast for late tonight, but in the near term, in the next handful of hours, some liquid precipitation is going to try to fall. We've already seen some patchy drizzle here and there this evening. We're going to have a hard time making snowflakes up above our heads until later on tonight. The air down here in the low levels of the atmosphere is cold enough for some snow, but upstairs there's some dry air in that kind of key zone where snowflakes like to form. And so as a result, even though temperatures will be close to freezing, even a little bit below freezing at times through late this evening, we're going to see more drizzle than snowflakes for the time being. We had some drizzle reported at the airport during the 6 o'clock hour. Very light returns on the radar, and that's kind of faded away. But I do think that drizzle will become a little more common as the evening progresses. And this blue on the map up over Lake Erie, this is kind of a mix of light rain with some snowflakes as well. I think as we go into the overnight tonight, mostly after midnight, that's when the atmosphere from the ground on up will be a little bit more conducive to snowflake formation, snow shower formation, and as a result, it could be slick in a couple of spots later on tonight, both as a result of maybe some patches of freezing drizzle, and then as we go deeper into the night and towards tomorrow morning, some scattered snow shower activity, enough to maybe coat the ground in some spots, enough for some surfaces, untreated surfaces, of course, mostly, to be a little bit slick. Actual snow accumulations will be very, very modest. I don't think anyone's probably going to see more than an inch between now and tomorrow morning, but someone might see half an inch or so, and again, maybe just enough that you'll have to be careful out on the roads late tonight and into tomorrow morning. Otherwise, the story for our Thursday, a blustery day. High pressure is just off to our north and west. There's a pretty good pressure gradient in the atmosphere tomorrow between that high up over Wisconsin and our departing cold front. And so a blustery day, wind chills mostly teens and 20s, just not very nice outside, despite some sunshine working in during the second half of the day. Best chance for flurries will be before midday. High pressure then gives us a cold and clear night tomorrow night before a veil of high clouds starts to filter in on Friday, but overall, despite a frigid start Friday, the afternoon will be halfway decent. All right, as we go towards the weekend, we've got a lot to talk about with our approaching system. Now, this is just one run of one model, and it only runs out through Saturday morning. Here's our low pressure system, maybe over Nashville at the start of the day on Saturday. You'll notice moisture coming in from the south and to the west, from the west, I should say. This low is actually going to start cruising more in this direction, though, and it's not going to be very strong. Not a very amplified system, in other words. And as a result, a lot of the precip shield will be more aimed over here, it looks like, instead of a lot of northeast Ohio and western PA. Now, I do think we're going to see some precipitation on Saturday. We're going to get grazed, but our snowfall expectations have really started to come down. I do think the sweet spot with this storm for the weekend will be from the Pocono Mountains in northeastern PA up through the Catskill Mountains, north of New York City, up near Albany, New York, heading over towards Boston, perhaps. Yeah, this could be a sizable event for places like that. And closer to home, if you happen to be doing some traveling for any reason across I-80 and across the Pennsylvania Turnpike to our east, Saturday afternoon into Saturday night, that's going to be tough traveling as you get out into the mountainous areas in central PA. But in far eastern Ohio, far western Pennsylvania, I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to see those higher snow totals around here. Here's a look at our current computer model spread. Basically, we're still looking at the European model and the GFS suite of modeling, so 3 different models here. We look at a lot more than 3 models, but graphically speaking, so things don't get too complicated for you, we'll just talk about these 3 for now. They're kind of advertising about an inch or so, should about do it. That being said, there's pretty good model agreement at this point that the high end of this in our area is probably a couple or a few inches at most. We've lowered those percentages, the chances of certain accumulations being achieved. I still think we could see an inch or 2 in a lot of spots. Outside chance of 3 or more, though, and most of that probably will be in western PA. And again, as you get closer to central PA, Altoona, Johnstown, State College, Williamsport, places like that, perhaps even as far west as Du Bois along Interstate 80. Someone up there might get a few inches, but in our TV market in the Youngstown area, yeah, it's going to be hard, I think, to get more than a couple of inches because this storm just looks a little too far south and east and just kind of flat. Not a very strong storm, not capable of drawing in higher moisture farther to the north. Now, that being said, it's only Wednesday evening. We've still got some time to go, and, fool me once, right? Models have, played tricks on us before. So these trends that date back to last evening, really, they're about 24 hours old, they may reverse themselves. Wouldn't be totally shocking. But I think the most likely outcome is that the trends have established themselves at this point, and it's fairly unlikely that we get some sort of reversal and a much more northward trend in the modeling from here on out. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on social media and on our newscasts over the next couple of days. Yep, the snow, of course, has been hard to come by for the season and for the last couple of seasons. For this season to date, we're running over 15 inches behind average at the Youngstown Warren Airport. I think there can be some spotty flurries into the day Sunday, but then we await a stronger area of low pressure next week. Now, this system is so strong and its track is so far to the west that I do think we'll see a changeover to rain on Tuesday, but it's going to be a little bit interesting late Monday night into the first half of Tuesday. Here's Tuesday morning, low pressure out here, moisture streaming in from the south, and I do think with high pressure up here, we will have a cold air mass in place as this precipitation pushes in. So I do think we'll see something other than rain at the onset Tuesday morning. And this could be tricky at times Tuesday morning for commuters. We might see snow, freezing rain, sleet. Now that's not going to last all day. I do think that the warmer air will win the battle because, again, this low is tracking way out over here, and it'll have, I think, no trouble drawing in warm enough air that we are likely to see a change over to rain Tuesday afternoon. Look at all the isobars on the map. These are lines of equal pressure. When you see a meteorologist plotting up isobars on a weather map and you see a lot of them packed together like this, that's a lot of wind surrounding this system. So, at this point, I don't think this is probably a big snow producer for us. Maybe some front-end snow early Tuesday morning and maybe some backlash snow as this storm heads to the east and we get some residual moisture streaming in from the north like this Tuesday night into Wednesday of next week. So we're talking about a week from now. We could see some snow, but I don't think odds will favor a big accumulation for us. I do think the odds will favor this being a pretty good wind event at times Tuesday and into Wednesday of next week. Some colder air to follow, but not tremendously colder. This is a look at temperatures compared to average over the next 10 days. Our source region is still not straight out of the Yukon. It's not out of the Arctic. It's not out of Siberia. And so it's going to warm up ahead of that midweek system. It'll cool down, yes, but only back to average. It's not like we're going to go to the deep freeze here in the near term. This is the next 10 days. I think there'll be a warm up in about 9 or 10 days. Beyond that, there is some model suggestions that we go into a colder period during the second half of January and into February as well. But in the next 10 days, which takes us out through the 13th of January, don't see a lot of evidence of any sort of abnormal dead of winter cold. Just pretty bland, vanilla January cold, and at times, milder than average. But I do suspect that some colder times are ahead of us later on this month and heading into the final stages of meteorological winter. Thank you for watching Weather for Weather Geeks on this Wednesday evening. Of course, on Thursday, we'll have a full update on the weekend situation. We'll start diving a little bit more into the details of that midweek storm. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot until we get Saturday's storm out of the way, but we'll talk about the latest model trends for next week and beyond. Hope to see you then. Have a great rest of your Wednesday night.